Hey, this is Jamey Schrier, and there's a really good chance that you have received tons of emails and information around goal setting or planning for the year of 2022 and all kinds of other stuff that have to do with creating a plan and then looking at your goals and objectives and all that kind of stuff. So what I want to do today with you is just take a few minutes to share how I look at goal setting, but then how I dial it in to make it very concrete and very specific to actually achieve the objectives that I want to achieve. Because let's face it, there's so much coming at us. There's so many distractions. I mean, we have this phone by us that I'm using to record this. We have this phone by us that has all kinds of stuff on and all kinds of interesting things and social media, and we're distracted, let alone we have our staff, we have people interrupting us. It's difficult to stay focused. So I'm going to take you through a very simple process to help you navigate what your year plan is. We'll just go for a year right now, and then work all the way back to what you should be focusing on this week. All right, so here's the first thing. Got my whiteboard here. Love the whiteboard. So here's the first thing. The first thing is we got to get clear in what our goals are for the year. What are your goals for this year? Now, what I like to do with goals, one goal has to be revenue, right? What is your revenue goal for this year? See, I've always had the problem with, well, I don't know what my revenue goal is going to be. I'll let you know when I get there. Or I don't know how many new patients I can generate. I don't know how many therapists or staff I can hire. So it kind of limits us because we're trying to already figure out how we're going to get to the goal. I want you to just let that stay over here for a minute. Let's get rid of the how-to part of our brain just for a second. We need to create the vision. We need to create where we're going first. Then we're going to come back and create, well, how are we going to get there? Create that plan. Don't let that stop you. As Stephen Covey said in his very famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, he said, begin with the end in mind. In this case, the end is the end of the year. So what is a revenue goal? Perhaps you're looking at adding different programs. So you could be like, well, what's your goal of programs or staff? Maybe locations. So you're looking at adding other locations. It doesn't matter what the goals are. My advice is make sure one of them is at least a revenue goal. And all of the goals, regardless of what you put, should be objective goals, should be measurable goals. It should be something that you can say, did I achieve it or didn't I achieve it? Kind of using your SMART goal philosophy. So once you have your yearly goals, and I wouldn't necessarily have a ton. I would keep the yearly goals maybe to 3 goals. Once you have that, now we're going to start working backwards. And we're going to use what's referred to as quarterly time frames. All right, so you have the year here. So that means this would be the 3rd quarter. This would be the 2nd quarter. And this would be the 1st quarter. So it's just like the stock market. All the companies always work in 3-month increments, right? They gun it for 90 days and they try to achieve their goals and objectives. So we're going to take that same thing here. So in order to achieve our revenue goal, let's say our revenue goal is, $800,000. In order to achieve our revenue goal, we have to determine, well, where are we now? So where are we currently right here. So you got to understand where you are to know where you need to go. So let's say currently you're at 600,000. All right, you want to increase another 200,000 or a 33% increase in revenue. Not too bad, right? That'd be a great objective. So then you ask yourself in Q1, quarter one, which in this case would be 2022, January to March, quarter one, you would ask yourself, so what has to happen in quarter one in order to move forward in reaching your year goals? Just Q1. What has to happen? So now what you're doing is creating your goals for Q1. You're breaking it down to make it easier and more manageable to understand. So in Q1, let's say your revenue goal needs to be, let's say 650,000. $650,000. If you're able to do 650,000 or get on your way to 650,000, then you know you're going to move towards your $800,000. All right. So, well, what else needs to happen? So the thing that I want you to think about is, this is a result. Well, can you break this down to, well, referrals? Can you break this down to the staffing that you'll need? You can break it down to, well, what processes or systems do you need to have in place and do it? So when you get clear on what your goals are here, you begin to figure out the areas that you need to work on systematically. So all of this makes sense, right? You look at your yearly goal, you break it down to your Q1 goals. And again, for your quarterly goals, I'd recommend between 1 and 3. Really big goals. Now what are you going to do? Now, I'm just going to erase this. Now we're going to break down the quarterly goals to monthly. All right? What is, and there's 3 months in every quarter, so in 1 month, in month number 1, what is your primary goal or your primary objective? This 30-day goal here needs to be aligned with your Q1 goals. And your Q1 goals is already aligned with your yearly goal. So in this case, it might be to generate an additional, 5 new patients. All right, 5 new patients, you get paid, let's say, $1,250 a patient. That's $5,000. That's going to help you achieve and move towards your additional $50,000 a month, let's say. So now you know what you need to do here. So then you have to then break this down. So what do I have to do? And this is the take-home message. What do I have to do in order to increase my referrals by 5 new patients? So this might mean you have to look at what you're doing with marketing and focus more time on, meeting with referral sources, or maybe looking at part of your social media strategy or patient reactivation, or do more talks. Whatever it is that you're doing that's generating referrals now, if you're able to focus on tightening up something, improving a better process, maybe looking at what's working or what's not working and addressing that. So it gives you now a very clear thing to focus on. Now, I just chose revenue and referrals as an example, but it could be anything you want. See, once you choose what your yearly goals are, this process of taking the yearly to quarterly to actually monthly, and then you can break it down to what are you going to have to do this week to begin moving this forward. And let me give you a hint. It means you actually have to take action towards something. And when you start taking action, again, very focused action, you start moving this train forward. You start gaining momentum. And you start looking at, am I progressing towards my monthly goal? And if I'm progressing towards my monthly goal, I already know that's aligned with my quarterly goal, and I already know that's aligned with my yearly goal. So there you go. There's a very straightforward process of how to set your goals, set your objectives, and create them all the way down to what you have to do this week. Hope that helps you. Please leave your comments or any other things. I love to see them, and I always respond to them. And I hope this helps you move your business to practice freedom.